First thing, and write this down, screw dream sexuality. Write it down. Screw dream sexuality. If you don't know what dream sexuality is, you're about to, and you're about to realize it is most people alive. What is dream sexuality? Especially in the self-help spiritual field, it's people who fantasize about dreams or their fantasies or someday. Right? So for example, that's how you know in San Francisco. Man, did it go down. Now, so what does this mean? Dream sexuality, it's when you experience sexual attraction towards your dreams. It could be, and this is the most common way, your dream of someday, where you might be watching videos, coming even to an event like this, and you're filtering all this information. You're like, oh, I can't wait till someday I apply this, and someday I change. Someday I'll be that person, and people will stare, and my high school friends will see me and be like, whoa, did they change? My parents will see me, my life will change, my success will go up, my friends will change, my relationship will change, I'll make more money, I'll travel someday. And that's the fantasy. And you go home and you're like, someday, someday, someday. That's most people. Even watching YouTube videos, you're like, oh, I wish I was like that. Ooh, that person. Ooh, did you see that person traveling? Someday. And you literally have this toxic sexual fantasy relationship with someday, with your dreams. This can also happen with hero worship. You might be seeing someone on YouTube and you follow their journey. And you have this weird relationship with someone you don't even know. And not even their real life, but what you're projecting onto them. Oh, I saw this clip of that person. They were on a plane and they said that. Oh, that's really cool. And then you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, it's so inspiring. Oh, the hero worship, the hero worship. Screw that. That's why I say, write down screw dream sexuality. Instead, develop a healthy relationship with not your dreams, with reality. That's the only metric of success. It doesn't matter what you think of someday, that little plan you have for yourself, that little vision you have for yourself. All that matters is, hey, in reality, did things change? And you can audit so far your journey in this whole self-help spiritual world. How many months, years have you spent working on yourself? How much content did you consume? How much time was that? How many hours of content did you consume? How much time did you spend thinking about it? All that investment there, measure it against reality. Okay, here's all the time investment, the energy investment, the focus investment. What changed? And it better be something substantial that justifies that investment. Otherwise, you're kidding yourself. Otherwise, and this is sadly most people, they just live in this little dream. Self-help becomes their new Netflix, where they feel less guilty about slacking off, and they have all these dream sexual relationships with other gurus or their future someday self. That doesn't produce any kind of change. You got to be radically honest with yourself and be like, okay, where am I? What changed? And if you aren't happy with it, you better switch something up. And it comes first and foremost from valuing reality over fantasy. Screw dream sexuality. Now, to be fair, you are here in person, and that is a huge step up. Most dream sexuals would be far too scared in terms of setting foot in a seminar room like this, because this is an environment that can force you to change, that can force you to snap out of that little fantasy and actually start taking action and producing real results. This is something, fortunately, me starting out, I had going for me. I was very, quote unquote, selfish, meaning if I saw someone doing well, instead of being like, oh, that's so cool, I'm going to fanboy around this person, or on the flip side, which is even worse than fanboying, it's hating. It's like, oh, screw that person. I was like, oh, that's great. How can I get that? How can I become that? Oh, that person's really confident. How can I be really confident too? You got to make it about you. And this is not toxic. People are like, oh, that's a little selfish. No, this is healthy. Living in that dream fantasy, worshiping others, that isn't. So you got to get clear here and sit down and be like, okay, what is my goal? What is it that I want? All those people who might inspire me, and inspiration's great. How can I get that or be like that? Next step is put your ego aside and be ready to receive real and raw feedback. Not the sugarcoating feedback, and that unfortunately is being hyped left and right to the point where any kind of real feedback, I mean, with any piece of advice, you could always find a little downside. It's like, oh, but I don't know about that. That was too harsh. The big one now is if someone's needy. Back in the day, there was advice like, don't be needy, right? Good advice? Yes, no? Yeah, if you're needy, it's extremely repelling. People just sense it in the vibe. You know what people say now? Oh, well, actually, reciprocity, that's a healthy need. It's a human need. Don't tell the needy person to not be needy. That's just you being human. Oh, take responsibility for your life. No. You're victim blaming now. They're a victim of the system. Why are you telling them to be responsible? So there's all these little counter arguments for real and raw feedback. Again, and this is the old school type of thinking I fortunately had, don't speculate, try it out and see. Hey, try out the, oh, but being needy is just natural. It's a human need to get reciprocity. If I say hi, they should say hi. If I like them, they should like me, right? That's what I'm told. Go try that out. See what happens. Versus, don't be needy. See what produces results. Oh, the system is flawed. I am a victim. Try that out. Try being the little victim. See what happens. Well, okay, try taking responsibility. See what happens. Field test it. The real world will tell you very fast what works and what doesn't. So don't speculate. That's another thing of the dream sexual. Just like, I wonder. Go find out. And what I found, because I've been personally working on myself since 2006, coaching since 2010, is that real, raw feedback works best. Not any kind. There's also very toxic, real, raw feedback that doesn't work. But for the most part, you got to put your ego aside. If you cannot do that, then that is the first thing to start working on. Put it aside and just let it happen. For me personally, there's even an instance that stands out that I think of to this day. This is 2009-ish in Los Angeles. It was the first time I met my friend Derek. He goes by Derek Moneyberg. And it was actually at Owen's place. And I was just some broke kid at the time. And I'll get into this. I'd moved to LA from Switzerland, had no money. I was just this little broke kid who'd go out and just kind of network party, had nothing going for me, was working just minimum wage jobs, very little opportunity. And I met this guy. And I didn't realize how quote unquote bad my situation was. I'm like, look, I'm doing pretty well. And he sat me down. He's like, look, man, I like you. Just vibe-wise, you seem smart, but what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, what are you doing? And he's like, look, if this is really the life you want for you, the level of success you want for you, what is this? You're better off just moving, funny enough, I think he said San Francisco, moving to San Francisco and just become a male hooker. That was his advice, his honest advice. Lie detector type advice. It's like, just go be a male hooker and just whore yourself out. Like, what is this? This is pathetic. No one ever told me that. Guess what? My friends at the time were like, yeah, Julie, it's fun. That's fun. No one was ever like, what are you doing? What is this? What is it? Just go be a male hooker. Just go out. Whore out. This is pathetic. It's at that level. And it stung. It hurt. I was like, oh, I think I remember going home and like almost tearing up a bit in my pillow. I'm like, that was kind of mean. I'm better than being a male hooker. Yet, it woke me up. Just like adversity, that's life's way of waking you up. The same with this type of advice. Usually it's the advice that really stings. Looking back, you hate it in the moment because your ego hates it. But looking back, you're like, thank God for that. That piece stood out, and that piece, although it wasn't comfortable, produced change. And that's what you should value. Change results over comfort. Even this whole idea of changing means venturing out of your comfort zone, taking risks, disrupting your comfort zone. You think you can have this little comfort zone and you can slowly add to it and build upon it and eventually reach that ideal life. It doesn't work that way. They're not connected. You want to get here, you're going to have to shatter some of this. It's called the destruction phase of transformation. You might have experienced some of it already. If you work on yourself, suddenly the status quo gets disrupted. Suddenly, perhaps some of your friendships, relationships aren't the same, and they aren't as good. Suddenly, maybe passion for your job, what you're doing in life changes too. You're like, is something wrong? Am I going backwards? This wasn't supposed to happen. That is good. You don't want to go back to how things were before. You don't want the comfort zone. That's why you're here. If your current status quo is being disrupted, that's a sign things are changing. But, so it's not like, it's fucking falling apart, I got to go back. Keep on going. Don't just stay there, keep on going. You can think of it as swimming from one shore to the next. People, they start swimming and they're like, I miss the shore, my comfort zone, and they go back. Keep on going and have faith that the new shore on the other side will appear. That's part of change. You got to disrupt it. People have to start viewing you differently. Your habits have to start changing. Who you are, how you communicate, how you come across, how you think, how you feel. All of that has to change. And that there, guess what? Not everyone around you is going to be accepting of it. There'll be some people in your life you're going to have a falling out with. That comes with the territory. The question for you is, are you willing to go through that? And the answer should be yes. Because if it wasn't yes, you wouldn't be here. There's a part of you saying, this isn't enough, this isn't authentic, more, better results. Now, my goal with this talk here is to give you everything that you need to start changing your life. This isn't Instagram where you're going to get 3 quick tips to change your life. This is what actually really works. It's also not necessarily catchy. It's what works. I'm not some coach who just came about a year ago. I'm not some little social media influencer, although I am on social media. As I mentioned, I've been working on myself since 2006, coaching since 2012. That's 12 years plus of coaching people. 12 years plus of doing seminars, live events like this, programs where I take people out, work on them, personalized programs, like you name it. I've personally taught tens of thousands of people face-to-face around the world in over 40 countries. That's who I am. The social media, YouTube, that's just me posting little clips from some events here and there. Most of the time they're free events, so it's not even my real work. And that's just, you know, because I love helping as many people as possible and to get the word out there. But what does that mean for you? It means that I've seen what works in the short term and what doesn't. There are tips and tricks I could give you right now that in this moment, you're going to feel completely changed. You're like, oh, that was amazing. And then you think that that is the advice that produces results. No, that produces a little spike. I've seen advice I thought was really good back in the day, say 2010, 2011, and I'd see the same person later, 3-4 years, and it wasn't as transformative as I thought. So I've been refining it, and you notice with time what sticks, what doesn't. What this also means is no matter who you are, I've seen you before. Not you per se as a person, but someone just like you. I've seen it all. I've taught all over the world. I've done multiple world tours. I've seen people of all ages, all backgrounds, all cultures, all different kinds of sticking points and issues. And guess what? Just like working on your social skills, the more people you talk to, the more you start recognizing different patterns, the more you're able to develop a spidey sense and even predict people's responses. The same thing happens with coaching. You have so many people that you start coaching, you start recognizing the patterns. And you know what type of advice to give to who and when. So what you're going to hear here is not, again, little Instagram quick tips. Doesn't come from books. It comes from real life experience, working on myself, and then testing it and refining it with clients for over a decade. So do lock in. And this is really what changed my life completely. You know, I used to be, if you're familiar with my story or not, extremely shy, extremely awkward. I was this little kid from Switzerland, by the way. I grew up in a small town of 650 people, a little cow town in the country in Switzerland. That was my upbringing, and my existence up until 2006 was very miserable. I was extremely shy. I had almost no friends. It was a very lonely existence. I couldn't speak up. I would even have social anxiety around family members, which is insane. Like even going down for dinner was scary. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to speak up at the table. Or even worse was a family gathering, like the holidays. I would have so much anxiety around the holidays. It was terrible. And of course, when you're quiet, what do people do? Well, we'll speak up. What's up with you? We'll share some news. What's up, Julien? Nothing. Just kill me. Like that was my reality. For real. I was really awkward. I had one outlet, fortunately, though, which was music. I played guitar from the age of 8. Played with a friend in a band from the age of 12. We composed. I would even play at like high school shows and stuff. And when I would go on stage, that was the one avenue, only doing music. No way would I talk or anything else. But just music, playing guitar, was my one way of self-expression. And life honestly felt like hell. It felt like a prison. It was terrible. And I'd see people acting completely unstifled, people smiling, people having a blast, socializing. I'm like, why not me? Just living in this ball of anxiety And again, it's like, well, at least there's music. So in 2006, I found out about self-help. I found out you could change something. And I took action. And I went from that, this shy little awkward kid in a farm town in Switzerland, to traveling around the world, having amazing friendships, amazing relationships, to forming a family. I have kids now too. To ultimately living my dream life, doing something I love, doing something I'm passionate about, and more importantly, being free from that invisible prison. And you can sense where the walls are. This is important for all of you. You think you have free will? Not necessarily. You have a certain amount as long as it's within that invisible prison, also known in the mainstream as your comfort zone. You want to know where the walls of the prison are? Go see where you get triggered. For example, when it comes to socializing, around who do you start feeling stifled? That's the wall. There are some people where you're like, hey, you know what? I feel comfortable around this person. Oh, I'm a little cool. This person's going to like me. And you're yourself. I'm sure you have friends like that. Then you talk to someone you might believe is, they're a little bit outside my league. Oh, and you freeze. Whoa, you just hit a wall of that prison. I thought you had free will. I thought you could be confident no matter what. Nope, you hit a wall. Self-sabotage, too, will let you know where those walls are. If you audit your life, what amount of financial success do you allow yourself to get? If you audit the past 5 years, what's the amount that's been in your bank account on average? Health-wise, where have you resided on average? Every time you hit that wall, self-sabotage kicks in, and you go back into that invisible prison. That's the sad reality of most people, and they just bounce around this prison trying to feel better about not changing, which is also why dream sexuality is so appealing. Okay, so this here is what got me out of that prison. It's not some quick tips. None of you here will be changed permanently at the end of this speech, but you will know the direction. If any of you think you can just permanently change like that, you are delusional. You are. That is mainstream magic pill, self-help promotion. You can just change like that, one little tip. I'll even see this sometimes in comments under videos. Someone's like, you just got to be yourself. I'm like, really? Really? If something that simple actually worked, everyone would be crushing it. Hey, you just got to relax and go with the flow. No shit. Really? Just relax and go with the flow? Like little things like that, although true, don't produce change. You got to put in the work, put in the reps, and you got to give it time. Okay? So that's my goal here, is at the end, you have a new understanding. You also see how a lot of the mainstream paths promoted are completely wrong, and you know exactly what to do, and then it's up to you if you want to put the work in or not. I'm not saying this for all of you here. I'm saying this for the few action takers here who are like, you know what, enough with the dream sexuality, let's get to work. And for those of you who are like, enough with this current situation, let's get to work. And there should be some frustration, some anger, some fear, and even some pain around your current comfort zone. Misery tends to be the first teacher. You don't want it to be the last, but it does tend to be the first. Where you look around and you're like, enough's enough. If you look at your life, who you are, and you're like, it's not that bad, nothing's really going to change. It's so easy then to just rationalize, well, why would I go through hell and back if this is not that bad? This shore better be terrible, better be on fire, and you better be swimming for a better one. If you don't realize it's on fire, then that's another key shift. Start taking note of all the things that you don't like about who you are currently and your current life situation. Make that list. And don't try to downplay it. Take the hit. Just like me, move and be a male hooker. I'm like, what is my life? Crying in the pillow. That's motivating. You don't want to stay there motivation-wise, but it is a good, great first motivator. Probably a lot of you here, you're here in this room because you went through something similar. There was one point in your life, that's what led you to self-help, led you to improvement, where you're like, enough's enough. It was that final straw where you're like, nope, enough. Now when I say this, one final note, there's always someone who's like, I never had that actual moment where it was enough is enough. My life was always pretty average. And that's the silent, sneaky killer of progress. Then you better audit your entire life and be like, wait a minute, I'm choosing this moment now for it to be that enough's enough moment. If you haven't had it, don't wait for it to happen. Make it happen. When? Now. That too, by the way. When does transformation happen? Now. Like, no joke. If you catch your vocabulary and you're someone who says, I should, I need to, those are the words of procrastinators and slackers. Oh, I need to. What does it imply? Someday, not now. Whenever I hear someone say that, even on my team, one, I eradicate that. I'm like, I never want to hear I need to. I should. Never want to hear that. And whenever someone still lets it slip up, I say, when exactly? Oh, I need to. Okay, when? How? Let's go. Let's come up with a plan. Oh, no, well, we should at some point. When's this some point? That lets you off the hook. Oh, Julian's right. I really should, sit down and take the hit and be motivated. Okay, when? When exactly? Eliminate that from your vocabulary. No shoulds, no I need to, no at some point, no someday too. That is no longer acceptable in the self-help world. PC is taken over. That's not PC. Oh, that's not self-help PC. No more some days. That is a banned word. What you're going to learn here is especially going to help you, of course, no matter who you are, but the three types of people it helps the most is one, if you're someone who has accomplished a certain amount of success, but you realize, one, you're not necessarily enjoying the result of your success, and it's that whole like, it didn't work. That's something I went through. I'm like, maybe more, and nothing ever truly works. You feel very dissatisfied, and it feels like if you stop putting in all this effort, you will fall back down to ground zero. Okay, this is a lot of my clients. Entrepreneurs fall into this. People who suffer from a lot of burnout fall into this. People who succeed and they just, again, lose that depth of life or just haven't found that depth of life. If that is you, then really lock in. That's the first type of person this is really going to benefit. The second is someone who accomplishes a little success and then self-sabotage gets you and you just kind of flounder around. We call this intermediate purgatory, where you do a little bit and your mind's like, it's good enough, right? There's a reason there's that saying, enemy of great is good. Like, it's good. In terms of what I teach, that's someone who resides in courage a lot. It's like little wins, and then you fall off. Or your success is very much up to luck. Even say socially, sometimes you might be very confident, sometimes you aren't. It's this thing where you're at the mercy of the day, of the night, of the environment, of the people you're around. You're like, I hope tonight I'm going to be confident, and then you go out and something happens and you aren't. But then the next day you might go out and, oh, this person smiled, and you're on cloud nine, but there's no control and no consistency. If that's you, lock in, because this is the second person this will really benefit. And the third is if you're someone who's just totally down at the bottom, meaning you might know a lot, you might have tried various courses, even coaching, but you just can't get yourself to take action. It's someone who comes up with a ton of excuses, someone who starts different programs, but then you let them gather digital dust on your desktop. You never go back to them. If you look back at your track record, you're like, well, I gave that up, I just can't, it's so hard, why is it easier for others? Oh, I wake up in the morning, all these excuses, I fall back in the same patterns, I just don't know if I can, then that is for you as well. So no matter where you find yourself here, lock in. But the number one thing is you better want this for you, and you better want it in reality, not your dreams. I first started out working on my social skills. As I mentioned, that was the one area of life, among many, but the main one where I really experienced so much anxiety and again, couldn't speak up at all. And I found out, 2006, hey, you can actually do something about this. You can actually take action and work on your confidence and work on your social skills. At a most basic level, what does that look like? Talk to a lot of people. Hey, you want to get good socially? Talk to a lot of people. A very simple habit all of you can incorporate, no matter what you do, by the way, is every day talk to 3 new people. Right? There's nothing really blocking you from doing that apart from your own anxiety and fear. Doesn't have to be long conversations, but all of you can talk to 3 new people a day. Just a simple habit like that will have huge impacts on your life. However, this is also how self-help gets you. We then make it very complex. Oh, but I don't want the little simple tip. I want to understand all the nuances first. Sure, understand the nuances, but start there. You're not going to mentally get there. Action is involved. Experience is involved. So fortunately, I got that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start talking to people. I'm going to start talking to strangers. And I went out I went to the nearest town, which I had to walk 30 minutes to a train station, then take a 10-minute train and went to it was a city. It was like 10,000, no, not 10,000. This was like 120,000 people. So I went to this city, and I told myself, very motivated, I'm going to ask someone for the time. How hard could that be? Or I'm going to buy a newspaper, and when the person gives me the newspaper, I'm going to say, nice weather, isn't it? Pretty easy, no? No? Couldn't do it. Froze. And I'd be the creepy guy who would be like staring at the newsstand and like, get the newspaper. And I'd be like, no. And then I'd walk around and come back 20 minutes later and just kind of staring at the newsstand. And probably the person who's working there is like, what the fuck's that guy doing? And just keep staring and just like, and it's not like the comfortable staring, like it was like that, like what the fuck? I then gave up on the newsstand. I'm like, that's way too scary. Just ask someone for the time. For real, by the way. I was like, just ask someone for the time. And I thought, okay, well, who's the easiest person to ask for the time? An old person. What are they going to do? Right? So I'd be walking down the street, scanning through, looking for old people. I made sure I didn't have a watch or anything. I'm like, just ask them for the time. And they'd walk by, and as soon as they get close, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, you're like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And right when it comes time, and then they walk by. And then how do you feel after that? Yeah, completely deflated. Just like, oh, that was terrible. And then you self-attack, and that little voice is like, I told you. And you're just like, you did. You suck, and you should have been aborted. Like, I know. But I was persistent. So what did I do? As soon as they'd pass, I would turn around and follow them. And I'd follow them into stores, like department stores and stuff. I'd be staring through the aisles and just couldn't ask. The staff probably looked at me very weird, like, why is he following that old man? It was a few weeks, if not a couple months of this, of me going out, looking for people to ask for the time and unable to do it. That is the level of social anxiety that I had. And having coached, as I mentioned, over 10,000 people face-to-face, millions if you count online, but face-to-face, I've only met few who were worse than me. I was very bad. People refuse to see this. They're like, oh no, look at you. You're loud and you're extroverted. No, I'm very introverted. If you follow the whole Myers-Briggs, I'm an INTJ at a core. I'm very introverted, very anxious. I was not meant to be this type of person. That was not the route that I was given. And I'm saying this why? To show you that it is possible to change. Not just a little, completely. And this is something you must truly believe deep down inside. If you don't, you're not going to truly change. You can even write it down as a rule. You will only change to the degree in which you believe you can. You believe you can change 10%, you'll change 10%. That's it. No matter how much effort you put in. You believe you can change 100%, then you can as well. The limitations are really in your mind. They are self-imposed. And the more you can look for proof and examples of people who might have been far worse than you and completely changed, and the more you make that part of your reality, the better. So, a couple months passed, unable to do anything. What do most people do in this case? Give up. Give up. They're like, oh, I knew it was BS, all a scam. And then you go back into your little dungeon and cry yourself to sleep. That's sadly 80% of people. A lot of you here, you're probably, sadly, going to reach that point and give up. 20% of you will truly succeed. 5% will thrive. 80%, yeah, that's the destiny. That is also, even in my earlier years, I formed a lot of bonds and friendships. Very few went on in the long run to truly succeed. They eventually reached that point where they're like, it's too hard, it's not worth it, I just can't, it's not for me. Maybe the lucky few. There's some lucky people which this can work, but not me. You have to audit that within yourself. This will also bring a lot of awareness to how much you truly believe you can change. If you think, say, there's various coachings out there, if your mind's like, oh, I could totally see how that works for others, but not me, then there's a problem. This is key. If you think of a coaching that may help you, you're like, oh, I totally see how that could help others, you're shooting yourself in the foot. No, you as well. And this is another big one. Your past does not necessarily determine your future. If you've slacked off a lot in the past, it's never too late to put your foot down and change. Never. As I said, it's never too late to take in that misery and be like, enough is enough. So, instead of giving up, although even back then I spent many nights crying myself in my pillow, and even thinking back, like, why didn't I say hi? The self-attack was rampant. I kept on going. But I put my ego to the side, and I realized I did not have what it took. And this is a big one. Don't get cocky, and don't think that you are the exception. You are the majority. Meaning, I sat there and I said, you know what? I'm just not brave enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough to do it on my own. And I told myself this. And a lot of you are in that same boat. You cannot do it on your own. You simply don't have what it takes. Now, what does PC self-help say? That's not true. Every human being has infinite potential. You are a seed from the universe and being, and you can infinite. No. A lot of you don't have what it takes, but that's okay, as long as you are honest with yourself and aware of it. Don't keep putting your head down and just keep trying to figure out on your own. If you could figure it out on your own, you would have by now, and you wouldn't be here. So I took that hit. I was like, you know what? I simply don't have what it takes. Doesn't mean it's over. It simply means I need to adjust my strategy. I need to think, okay, well, if I can't do it on my own, I better ask for help. And that is what I did. How did I do that? I went online and I found other people in my area who also were working on their social skills. And I said, hey, let's go out and work on it together. I did not mention I was too scared to do it on my own. But I said, hey, let's go work on it together. It'd be great. And I met up with a few people. I met up with 3 people. I remember vividly the experience. So scared showing up at that meeting. It was 3 strangers who you met online. Nowadays, it's like, in 2006, that was a big deal. In 2006, people you meet online, the rep was not good. If you would have said, hey, there's this dating thing online, like a Tinder, everyone's like, oh, like, so I went out there. It's like I told my friend, if I don't come back, you know why. And we met in front of this church on the church steps, and I was a bit early, and I was like, oh man, and then finally met these people. And the first thing I realized is, I'm like, well, if there are people who are working on their social skills, they must be way more confident than me, way cooler, better step it up. And they showed up, and I was like, they're just regular folk. What? I'm even cooler than that person. What? Blew my mind. What did it reinforce? No one's cut from a different cloth. What one person can do, another person can do. If that person can do it, I can do it. So it actually gave me a little boost of confidence, self-confidence. A little voice inside, instead of being like, should have been aborted, saying, there's 1% chance you shouldn't have been aborted. I'll take it. So I met up with these people, and we split up in groups of 2, and they're like, okay, let's start talking to people. And I went with one, and I was like, and he's like, hey, do you want to say hi to that person? I was like, oh man, can you do it first? I mean, I would, but can you do it first? So he went and said hi. And I just kind of watched from a distance. Didn't even go in and say hi to the people either. I was just kind of like the creep in the background. And then we kept on going. I kept saying, hey, you do it, you do it. I just don't feel like it yet. And 2 hours passed, and we were finally going back to the church to meet up with the other 2 and just kind of hang out and wrap it up. And on the way back, I saw 2 people walking, and I'm like, this is it. And that was the first time I took action and said hi to a stranger. What got me to take action, what do you think it was? It was the accountability of other people where I did not want to look stupid in front of them. Meaning, me by myself, I was too scared to look stupid in front of a stranger. And if it's just you with yourself, it's very easy to put it off till the next day. You're like, well, if I don't take action, who's going to know but me? It'll be our little secret, and then go back. Now, if there's other people, and I'm like, well, okay, I met this person. There's strangers. There's someone I spent 2 hours with. Whose opinion do I care about the most? I would rather have a stranger think, that guy's a little weird, and him be like, oh, he took action, versus not taking action and going back to the group and being the only person who didn't take action. So the seesaw of motivation tipped, and that finally got me to take action. But if I didn't admit I didn't have what it took, I would not be at that point. And as soon as that ended, I was on cloud 9. And I remember the feeling to this day. It was one of the most high peak states I've experienced where I was just like, I am invincible. If I can say hi for 30 seconds, I can conquer the world. So I thought. And we went back, and I remember, I'm like, I'm just going to keep riding this wave of positive momentum. And I kept at it. And I'd go out with these same people, and we'd start taking more action. And with every bit of action, I would congratulate myself and celebrate that win. And this is another big one. Collect every little win. Have big goals, but collect wins. Because what you'll notice is by default, we tend to zone in on failures. Like all of you here, I'm like, what are your biggest regrets and failures? Easy to remember. Even growing up, guess what? At school, you come back with an A here. You're like, here's an A. What do your parents say? That's right. Come back with an F. What happens? What? There's way more charge and energy around failures. So immediately, failures stand out more than success. So you're going to have to train your focus to start, one, noticing wins every day. Collect at least 50 wins. 50. Meaning, to do this, you're going to have to lower the bar. What's a win? Getting up in the morning. You didn't have to get out of bed. You did. Yes! Brushing your teeth. You didn't have to. You did. Yes! The more you're, yes, yes. Hey, even collecting the wins, that habit, that's a win in of itself. Yes! Me here on stage saying, yes, that's a win. Yes! That there will motivate you like crazy. That's how you ride that wave. Don't compare yourself to, oh, but it could have been more than 30 seconds, because that's what we do. Oh, it was only 30 seconds. Could have been better. Audit your go-to after a success. Is it to immediately criticize and say it could have been better, downplay it, or are you just taking it? Yep, 30 seconds. It's how I roll. Done. I have big goals, but I'm going to collect them along the way. That leads to success. And that leads to you enjoying the process versus experiencing the process as this chore that you must tolerate to get to the finish line. And fortunately, I had that. And it allowed me to take a lot of action, to the point where I became the person in that little group who took the most action out of all of them. And just by taking action, that gave me an unfair advantage where other people in that same self-help world, other people working on social anxiety confidence, they wanted to hang out with me. Why? Is it because I was better than them at socializing? Yes or no? No. There were people who were much better. I actually, at the time, I was hanging out with and met one of the top, he was even a teacher when it comes to social skills confidence in France. All these people literally just wanted to hang out with me because I was the only one taking a ton of action. And usually, you'll see this if you try to go the ego route of improving your social skills, you'll get some success, but then you'll want to maintain that image. And then you'll take less action and you'll start playing not to lose, because then if you take action and you don't come off as cool, then what are people going to think of your reputation? So all those people took less and less action, the better they got. And when they're around someone who's taking a ton of action, it's really refreshing. And you want that to rub off on you. So they take a lot of action too. So it'd be this beautiful balance where I wasn't that good, but I'd be taking a lot of action. They were very good, but didn't take action. And then it would inspire them to take more action, and I'd be learning from them in the process. And that's how I started cultivating my social skills. It was in Switzerland to begin with. And I got to a averagey level. Compared to where I was at, it was night and day. Friends, even family, could not recognize me. And I also developed a really, you could say, solid foundation of just self-confidence. It was still depending on a lot of accountability and hustle and discipline, but it was better than what I had before, which was zero self-confidence. And this gave me the confidence that, hey, if I could handle all these crazy social interactions, a lot of chaos, a lot of unpredictability, and I can figure it out and come out okay, then what else can I handle in life? And it got me to reflect back on the whole direction I was going in. And this is what allowed me ultimately to move to Los Angeles. I was in Switzerland. I was going to university. Didn't like what I was doing, studying business at the time. Didn't like the route that it was going in. Even the whole plan of like, hey, finish college, then you get a job, you get a promotion, you get married. For me, I didn't even think I'd get married, for real. I remember even at 15, this is when I had my first quote-unquote girlfriend. It was a 3-month-long relationship where nothing happened, but we just would give each other pecks and hold hands to school. That was it. And I remember thinking at 15 years old, one, I was so lucky. How did this happen? Because I was terribly shy and awkward. And two, I was like, okay, you're 15. That means you need to keep this relationship going for 3 years until you're 18. So you can marry this person and they can never leave you because you're never going to find anyone else again. Swear to God. And as soon as that ended, was I crushed, and then nothing. So that's how, again, terrible it was. So I started thinking, okay, that's my route. I'm going to have this job I don't really like. I won't even get married, just stuck in Switzerland. And I was like, you know what? No. I've had some good references here. I can handle the chaos. I'm going to move to America. And the movie, actually, that gave me the final little nudge to do this was I saw this movie based on a book called Into the Wild. Great movie. Watch it if you haven't, or even read the book. And the whole plot is this guy who just goes into the wild. He's like, hey, you know what? Screw society, screw this. I'm just going to wing it on my own. And I was like, you could do that? And for me, it kind of just shattered the whole matrix I was living in. I'm like, wait a minute. You can withdraw from the matrix? What? I'm going to LA. So I moved to LA. I got a summer job before moving in Switzerland where I worked on a garbage truck. Got some money and moved to LA. Told my parents, my family. No one was happy. They're like, you leave this door, never come back again. You're disowned, etc. We're on great terms now, but temporarily it was terrible and traumatic. But I also see where they were coming from. So I book a flight and I land in LA. I have my guitar, my suitcase, and like $5,000. That was it. Didn't know where I was going to stay. I rented a motel in Hollywood. It was in the wrong neighborhood where I walked out and it was like hookers everywhere and just really dangerous. And I was like, well, here I am. Let's make something of it. Scariest thing ever. Tons of risk. But what did it do? It put me in a situation where there is no comfort blanket. In Switzerland, guess what? Even if I completely fail, there's the comfort blanket of, oh, well, there's my comfort zone and just back to university and back to my job and da-da-da. Oh, here if I fail, I run out of money, I'm out with the hookers on the street. And then I'm in San Francisco with the hookers. That was the alternative. So what did it do? It lit a fire under my ass. I'm like, well, I better take action. And all of you here, you better audit. How strong is that fire? Is it burning? Because it better burn. The alternative to you succeeding better be terrible failure and death. Now, I'm making it very dramatic, but it should feel that way. That's how it felt for me. I was like, well, if I don't make it, I'm homeless and I die, and I'm okay with that. So massive motivation to take action, and I started hustling it out in Los Angeles. Started getting, minimum wage jobs. I worked at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, which is like a Starbucks. I was like a barista there. I worked at Lucky Brand Jeans, a clothing store. I then worked for a couple months at, if that, maybe even less, at a really sketchy car warranty phone call center that somehow this person got me, like for real, it's like you're calling like, do you want to buy a car warranty? And it was really bad, and I think later on that place got shut down. So I bounced, I'm like, screw this. Then worked 2 months selling cars at a Honda in Hollywood. Then worked a couple months doing internet marketing back in the day, promoting like weird, like it was little ads on dating websites where I'm like, hey, if you're 50 plus, I got the website for you. Like all this like weird stuff, like odd paying jobs. I went through, living, the first place I found after that motel was a guy's living room from an ad on Craigslist. So this is, back in the day, I mean, Craigslist is always sketchy, but back in the day sketchy. I'm like, hey, can I stay there? Moved into this guy's place. This guy later overdosed and we had to revive him. There's a whole crazy experience. So I moved there and then even had to share the living room there with this Bulgarian bodybuilder guy. So we're both sleeping on blow-up mattresses in the living room. There's the guy in the bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom in Hollywood, and that's where I was staying. Then moved to another guy on Craigslist living room. So a lot of Craigslist. Then went homeless. Lived with a friend in his basement room where there was like a lot of cockroaches everywhere. You might have heard that story. Where I'd wake up one morning out of 2, if not 2 out of 3, and there were cockroaches on me, like under the sheets. It was infested, and he wouldn't have someone come to spray it out because he had dogs and he was working, and he'd have to get the dogs out of the house for a day or 2, and he couldn't do that. So he's like, it's just cockroaches, man. So I stayed there, and I was sick at the time too. I mean, went through hell and back. But I was sick and I couldn't sleep, and I remember I was like editing at night, and there was one night I forgot to turn off my computer, and the cockroaches laid eggs in the USB ports, and little baby cockroaches were coming out of the computer. Yeah, I mean, I went through that. I went through, a few nights sleeping and living in my car, crashing with any friend I had. So, been through the ringer. But for me, once more, what kept me going? The alternative is death. That fire kept burning. And I still had that trust that came from socializing that, hey, keep on bringing it, I'll find a way. There are many times where I thought of giving up, though. Many times where my ego kicked in. Many times where I doubted myself. Times where I even messed up. But I kept getting back on and going. And that's a big one, too. You're going to fall off, all of you. Multiple times. What people do is when they fall off, they start freaking out and they make a big deal out of it. People who succeed, they also fall off. But they don't make a big deal out of it. They just get back on. Versus, oh, what does it mean? What does it say about me? It's like, just get back on. That's it. You don't have the luxury to just cry. Just go. Keep back on. You don't have the luxury to take a break. Back on. So I did that. And then eventually I started helping out my friend Owen. And I met him in Hollywood. I'd known of him before. And he's like, hey, I'm looking for someone to travel and kind of help out with different live events. And I was like, well, I have nothing else going for me. I'd love to. And it was a series of interviews. And on the final one, he's like, okay, you got the job, but the person who, we need someone who has a car. Right? The person who's going to help out, they better have a car. Do you have a car? Did I have a car? Yes or no? No, I had like $300 in my bank account. How am I even going to buy or afford a car? Like, I was making around $800 a month, and I was living off that. Sometimes $1,000 if it was on the high end. So I was like, yes, I do. He's like, great. I'll see you in 3 days. Pick me up. So I told him yes. And then, what did that do? Understanding this whole concept of put yourself in a situation that lights that fire under your ass. Now I had 3 days to find a fucking car. Now, most people would say no. Most people would also be like, oh, I only have $300, can't afford a car, sorry. Not me. And this is what you must realize. There are, yes, famous saying, an infinite amount of opportunities in life. That is true. But at the same time, there aren't. Meaning, even if you look back at your life here today, some of the things that went well, guaranteed you can identify some special, just can't believe that happened moment. And if you didn't jump at it, things would have been completely different. So there are these very few life-changing opportunities that will come into your life. This is also why it's very important to audit every decision that you make. On a daily basis, how many decisions do you make? Hundreds, thousands. But none of those change your life. Identify the ones where it's like, hey, this decision here could mean I end up here or there. And I identified it. And I was like, you know what? I'll find a way. And if I don't, and I don't come up with a car, then I lose it. But at least I'm not losing it off the bat. So I did that. I put myself in that situation. Now I had 3 days. We also call this, like if there's a fence, you throw your hat on the other side. Now you have to climb the fence, get your hat. No choice. Now you're in that situation where success has to happen. So what did I do? Went back on Craigslist. And I found this cheap used car that would eventually was a lemon, and it would die at every stoplight. It was terrible, and that's what I would drive. And I think it was around $1,500 or so. No, $1,600. $1,650. And it was this old Honda Civic, 93 Honda Civic EX, if I remember. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I found this car, $1,650. I can afford this maybe if I call family members and find a way for them to lend me money. So I called my grandmother, and she's cool with it now. I told her I got a promotion at work. I lied to her, okay? I lied to my grandmother and got the money. Is that what you want to hear? I lied. I lied straight to her face, and I said, I need $2,000. Please. And she sent it. And I literally was able to buy that car. It was actually a little late. We had to push it back. But I eventually got the car with the transfer time. And I showed up, and that's how I got the job. And then things went from there. But a lot of my success, guess what? It was those little situations there. What do most people do? Oh, I don't have the money. I'd call my family, I'd call every friend, like even a little $5 here and there, I'd find a way because it was a big deal. And you must also audit here, how much of a big deal is your success for you, right? It's the whole like get out of jail situation, right? I'm not going to go too graphic into this one, but say right now you were in jail and bail was $2,000. Would you find the money? Yes or no? Yeah. Say bail was doing that thing you're scared of doing. Would you do it? Yep. Yeah, because it's a big deal. The question, though, is why are you not as much of a big deal? Why don't you treat yourself as importantly as if, hey, it's either I do this or I'm in jail. And the more you can create this for you, which we're going to talk about, you can artificially create this. You don't have to wait for it to happen. You can create situations that light that fire. If you harness them and use them to your advantage, it helps tremendously. Okay? So I went through that, right? And again, what happened after that? I was now $2,000 in debt. Well, $1,700 in debt because I had $300 in my bank account. So $1,700 in debt, but it got me one foot in the door in a situation that unlocks more opportunities. And this is also important. There's levels of success, and there's situations that unlock more levels of success, but there's always a price of admission. If you're scared, you're like, oh, I don't want to put the $2,000. Oh, no. And you're trying to save your pennies. That is keeping your little comfort zone alive. Be smart about this. Don't be dumb. But there's situations where you take a temporary loss, like an investment, for a later on bigger payout. And you got to resist that instant gratification or the fear of like the instant loss. You got to think more long term. I'm like, sure, I'm now $2,000 in debt, but guess what? Now that I'm traveling around helping out, there are many opportunities that open up to me that wouldn't have been there otherwise. There's always risk. And this is the other big one too. If you're like, that sounds a little scary. There's also risk to not going $2,000 in debt. That is far riskier. No. What's riskier than taking action, not taking action? What would happen if I didn't do that? I'd be here out on the street whoring myself out. Okay? So that got me in this situation. Then, even traveling around when I first started teaching on my own, that was extremely scary for me. I remember going to Europe, and I was like, it was in Amsterdam, and I was like, I couldn't sleep the night before. All these situations where I put myself in them. Oftentimes, before you fully feel comfortable, that's also part of it. Don't wait to feel completely comfortable, because part of that comfort will come from having experienced it, comes from taking action, and things started growing. So I'm going to share with you some of the key things I learned from all of that. And if you look at my whole journey, it goes, this is really what I describe as part one of it, going from like, 0 to moving up, traveling, accomplishing a certain amount of things. But as I talked about before, for those of you who have accomplished success, I then, this is a few years later, 2014, fell into the trap of not enjoying that success. Feeling even like an imposter inside. A lot of people feel that, imposter syndrome. You can't let it land, you're not enjoying it. Then there's the stress of losing it. If you're not enjoying it too, and this is a big trap people fall into when it comes to success, is you think, say you're at the bottom, if I have X amount of money, I'll be happy. If I have X amount of approval, I'll be happy. If I have X amount of friends, I'll be happy. And then you get all that, and what happens? It didn't work. But now you're still not happy, and you're looking around, and there's no reason for it, because you have all those things you thought would make you happy. So if you're at the bottom, you can feel better about not being happy, because you don't have the money and the approval and the travel, et cetera, et cetera. But say you get those things, it robs you of your excuses. And then that there started freaking me out where, again, 2014, I was 26 at the time. And I felt at the time, for a guy in his 20s, like I had everything in the world. At the time, I was traveling around, speaking in front of big crowds, literally all around the world. Every single week, I'm in like a new country, doing multiple events. Had more money than I could spend, especially with all the travel. Just had my suitcase, that's all I owned, and all this money. Had amazing friendships, doing something that I loved. Amazing relationships, so everything was great. Internally, guess what? I still felt miserable. Could even express myself, socially could talk to anyone, yet internally there was still that little void, the same void that I had prior to 2006. Nothing had truly changed underneath the surface. And that started freaking me out. I'm like, well, what else then? What else? I guess more. And I started doubling down on validation. I started putting crazy content out to provoke crazy reactions. I'm like, maybe the crazier the reaction, at some point, that will complete me. And it didn't. And then I went through this whole worldwide media scandal. So it's not just, and I'm saying this to also illustrate, it's not just this smooth upward journey. You're going to go through ups and downs, crazy times. And guess what? Now through the whole media scandal, lost everything. I lost over $500,000. I was now in debt again, back to ground zero. Except this time I was like, 100,000 or so in debt. For real, this is like early 2015. I still had videos out and stuff. I even launched a product. While recording that product, I was completely broke, and all I was eating was canned vegetables, like little peas and stuff, like out of a can. That was my diet, because I couldn't afford anything else. But what did I have? One, the confidence that, hey, if I did it once, I can do it again. And more importantly, that taught me much deeper lessons. And this tends to be the route of success. You first try to optimize everything. You try to become. I need to become enough. I need to become confident. I need to get this. So it's this whole optimize. And in a way, you're still running away from you. I'm not good enough. Better, more. Doesn't lead to true fulfillment, happiness, and it creates a lot of self-sabotage. And I always felt too, like if I stop putting in all this energy and effort, I'm going to lose it all. So I was fighting against something. Through that experience, it opened me up to much deeper, you could say more real and raw levels of self-help, where it's not about becoming, it's about realizing. It's not about optimizing, it's about letting go. It's not about fighting self-sabotage. I call this the what now mindset. I'm scared, what now? I'm nervous, what now? I'm not taking action, what now? That's loser talk. Change every time you say what now to why. I'm scared, why? Where does this come from? Let go of it. I don't feel good enough, why? Let go of that. Oh, I'm not taking action. Why am I procrastinating? Let go of that. And suddenly, taking action and success was a lot easier. Still a lot of work, but it didn't feel like this heavy, hard work. I started enjoying the process. I started feeling much more authentic, much more whole, not like an imposter, and everything changed. And going through that was the most life-changing experience, where if I had to pay that price again or forget all those lessons, I would definitely pay it again for those lessons. It was a whole blessing in disguise. Terrible at the time, verge of suicide terrible, but life-changing lessons that came from it. In life, there are two games that are being played. One is an outward-in game. The other is an inward-out game. First part of my self-help journey was all outward-in, meaning if I get approval, if all of you like me, maybe then I can finally like myself. If I get all this proof, maybe that'll change how I feel inside. If I accomplish success, maybe I'll feel whole within. And you realize that doesn't work. That doesn't mean don't go for external success. That is very important as well, but you can't be doing it from this place of anything out here is going to change what's going on deep in here. That does not work. It produces temporary change, doesn't stick, and it's not the change you enjoy, and it's not the change you truly want. The shift was, what about inside out? And it all comes down to, once more, wherever you go, there you are. How do I change that there you are part? Right? You can think of it as, say this is you at a core, that experience of you. This is your personality. This is your life situation. People think that by having more money, more friends, moving, having a family, getting in better shape, traveling, so on and so forth, that might change how they feel inside. It doesn't. Then as you go deeper, you're like, well, maybe if I read books and watch self-help videos and courses, will that change how I feel? No, because this comes first. Don't confuse cause and effect. It doesn't matter what environment you put yourself in or what happens on the external. Doesn't matter what books you read, it's still the same you experiencing it all. Wherever you go, there you are. So I'm like, I optimize all this. Yet it was still the same me that didn't feel good enough, that didn't feel whole, experiencing it all, and that's why nothing changed. That's why if I sat down and did nothing, it would all start bubbling up inside and I have to quickly distract myself. That's another good test. How much time can you just spend alone doing nothing? Most people can't even do it, even at a restaurant. Say you're with someone, they go to the bathroom, what's the first thing you do? Phone. Can't be alone with me, phone. To the point where now people feel completely naked and weird going out without their phone. Try it. Try going out once without your phone, without hiding right into it. Even, by the way, if you're someone who's scared of socializing, your biggest enemy is your phone going out. Say you go out alone, you're like, I want to talk to some people. Option one is you talk to some people. Option two is you can always retreat to your phone. If you don't take your phone, you're going to have to talk to people. Why? Because otherwise you're just the creepy person, just like, why is that person not looking at their phone? What are they doing? You're like, whoa, better say hi to someone. There's another situation where you can light that fire under you to take action. You can only appear, you could say, normal on your own. Of course you can without your phone, but for the most part, it's easier to appear cool on your own if you're just looking at your phone versus if you don't have it. Stop going out with it. See what happens. If you're someone who struggles with that initial anxiety. So that changed it. I'm like, none of this changed this. How do I get to this first? Instead of fiddling around with the effects, how do I actually get to the cause? How do I change this experience of me? And then this leads to the next key one, which is, okay, inside out game, inside out. It also, once more, not the what now. This is all the what now. The why. How do I change this? And then you realize that there are different strategies. There's the optimizing strategy. First part of my self-help journey. I don't feel good enough. I must become good enough. With the action, success, every single bit, every reference builds up this staircase to me being good enough and feeling whole. Does that work? Yes or no? Yes? No? Nope. Nope. Not even before. And even if you do manage to accomplish what you think is good enough, like I said, internally you feel like an imposter and there's always the fear of losing it, and eventually you do lose it. It's not sustainable. Can you become good enough? Yes or no?
No. You can only be good enough to believe you can live.
Yeah. The answer is no. You cannot become good enough. Why?
You're already good enough.
Okay, but why can't you become good enough?
Because wherever you go, you're there.
Because if you become, it just shows that you're not good enough to start with.
Yes. If it's something that you can become, it means that without that thing that allows you to become it, at a core you aren't. If I'm positive, then I'm good enough. Well, that means if you aren't positive, you're not good enough. That means you're not good enough without being positive. So the only way to be good enough is for it to depend on nothing. If it depends on something, then you're not good enough without that thing. Make sense? So this here is endless. That's why people are always just chasing it, and nothing's ever good enough. There is another approach, which is very toxic, which is instead of trying to move up, you're like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm going to make everyone else not good enough too. And then people try to bring people down to their level to feel better about it. Terrible. So instead of this, what now? I'm not good enough. What now? I started asking myself, why? Why do I assume I'm down here? What has convinced me that I'm not good enough? What if I am good enough? But simply throughout my life, throughout social conditioning, throughout different experiences, that belief that I'm not good enough and everything that comes with it got implanted in me. What if I started identifying all the different things that are convincing me I'm down here? And when you let go of this, you realize core confidence. You realize you were good enough to begin with under the surface. And that's why you hear me talk about letting go. It's not about hustling your way up. It's about letting go of what's in the way. Because none of you were born not feeling good enough. None of you came out of your mother and just been, I'm not good enough. None of you. Something happened. Social conditioning, trauma, something Every single human experiences, by the way. Because trauma depends on how you experience it. A kid lost in the grocery store, that's traumatic. Oh, but it's just the grocery store. Yeah, for the kid, that's the world. Being mocked in class, that's traumatic. Feels like life and death. We all go through it. It's part of being human. Everyone experiences trauma. However, no one teaches us how to process that trauma. We're just taught, stuff it down, keep going, come on, keep going. Put a smile on that face, let's go. Hustle. No. So then it comes down to auditing all the stuff that have convinced you you're down here and start getting to work. And that's what I didn't do. I was just going from, this is what it is, compensate. It was this compensating route. I'm not good enough, but if I get all this success, all this validation, maybe it'll even it out. It doesn't matter how much you're compensating, you're still compensating. So that was the other big one. The third one is that when it comes to the things that are convincing you that you aren't good enough, some you might be aware of them, but a lot of them are placed out of your awareness. And this is where you must educate yourself on the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and realize that there are two worlds inside of you. One that you're aware of, and one that you aren't aware of. For example, right now, you're probably just aware of me talking here, right? You're not aware of breathing. That happens unconsciously, and that's good. If you had to be aware of that at the same time and everything, your head would explode. So the fact that there are two worlds is actually very good. If I were to ask you, what did you eat for breakfast? Now you're aware of it, but you weren't a second ago. Where was that? It was in that world that's out of your awareness. Conscious, subconscious. You could even say 10%, 90%. Now, all the stuff that have convinced us we aren't good enough, they're not necessarily pleasant things, are they? They're not things that we like bringing our awareness to, are they? Especially, say, past traumatic experiences, it's stuff that we quickly disown. But because they did happen, they are an experience that we went through, they don't go anywhere. What do? We banish anything we label as unacceptable all the way down here. Out of your awareness, at the very bottom of your subconscious, under more and more layers of resistance. This is what is affecting your self-worth. And then you hear stuff like, well, you got to let go of it. And you're like, okay, well, what is it? What do I let go of? What's down there? Well, what's down there? I don't know. Only you know that. And guess what? You probably don't even know that because of the resistance. And there's this famous saying, which if you don't know it, write it down. There's what you know, right? There's what you know in life. There's what you know about yourself. There's what you know you don't know. There are many things, like, do you know how to make a computer? Any of you? Maybe someone's like, well, actually, it's everybody. Yes, I do. Apart from those of you who do, you know that you don't know how to make a computer. It's still in the known. Okay? But then there's stuff you don't know you don't know. That's the gold. There's what you know, there's what you don't know, there's what you don't know you don't know. That. And only you can realize what is down there. But you can't go at it directly because you'll just encounter resistance. Those were the three foundational blocks to everything that came after that and everything that I teach here today. Inside out, letting go, conscious, subconscious. Building on these blocks, there's a system. There are 8 levels of transformation. All of you reside somewhere on this scale. Any sticking point, obstacle, issue in your life, any problem that you're dealing with can be linked to one of these levels. There's not a single problem in your life that you cannot link to one of these levels. So I highly suggest writing them down. The bottom, there's apathy. Then there's grief. And forgive my handwriting. Then there's fear. And there's anger. courage, desire, purpose, love. These are the levels of transformation. This is how it happens. Down here, you could think of these as the competitive states. Up here is the collaborative states. So, we're going to break this down here, but the first thing I want to point out is that most people don't have a clear system. Audit this within yourself. If you're winging self-help, winging success, and there's no clear map, you're screwed. And this is something that got amplified with social media. Meaning when I first started working on myself, there were some courses out there. They weren't as good as they are now. They weren't that great. But compared to what else was out there, they were life-changing. But if you wanted to get good, you'd find a course, you'd get a system, and you'd apply it. There wasn't all this content out there for free. Now, free content is amazing. Social media, if you use it and you don't get used by it, is amazing as well. I put tons of content out for free. I think it's very helpful. However, there's also downsides if you don't know how it works. First downside is everything's disorganized. And people then try to take little bits and pieces from little content here, this little content there, and then you try to organize it yourself. And because you aren't an expert, you're learning, people tend to organize it the wrong way. And they come up with a flawed system and they're screwed. Or they don't even try to organize it, and that's even worse. You can't. You got to find a clear system that's your compass, that's your map, that you keep coming back to. This is mine. Don't just wing it. Some other downsides, by the way, with social media free content is the content that's put out there isn't meant to necessarily help you. It's meant to get views. It's the same as the news. The incentive isn't to report on facts, it's to get clicks, right? So instead of, and this shifted recently, way back in the day when YouTube first started, or even general social media, the algorithms were very different. But now, a helpful piece of advice or content, which by the way, helpful isn't necessarily catchy, doesn't get as many clicks as something catchy. So it incentivizes people, coaches, teachers, to only put content out that will get clicks. And the content that get clicks isn't the content that necessarily helps you. Okay? I think it was called The Social Dilemma. It's a documentary on Netflix. It's very basic. If you watch it and you're blown away, then you are behind. You should know everything that's in there. But I'd suggest watching it. But the one thing it fails to address, so it talks about how social media affects us. The one thing it fails to address is how it also affects the creators, the content creators, which is what I just talked about. You're now incentivized to just put that out. You're also incentivized to back up certain ideas that might not be accurate. For example, let's just say there's a trend that says eating an apple is the key to success. Eating an apple will make you millions. Let's just say that is a trend for some reason. Someone puts a video out, the solution to your problems is you just gotta eat a goddamn apple. And there's a video of them eating an apple. Say that gets 1 million views or so. What are other content creators gonna do? Well, that one got a lot of clicks. I bet if I make my own video eating an apple, that'll get some clicks too. So you do the apple eating video, and someone else does an apple video. And pretty much now there's all this social proof and authority behind this idea of eating an apple equals success. So for a newcomer coming in, you're like, whoa, what's this apple technique I heard about? And you think it's accurate because it's backed up by a ton of content. So this is also how the algorithm will push very stupid, dumb, and even sometimes destructive ideas to the forefront. So beware. And then a third thing with social media is that in order to get clicks, your RAS, your selective focus, is either tuning into value or threats. And what you'll notice is that something that talks about and harps on a problem tends to be more captivating than a solution. So you're going to have all these videos that talk about problems, but that don't necessarily give you the solution because it gets more views. So If you want to get real results, use social media. I love it. I love it to educate myself on some general things, but once I found something I really like, I try to find content off platform. Whether it's in a course, whether it's in person, whether it's on Zoom or a coaching, that's where I try to go. I don't want the algorithm getting in the way. I want the incentive to be, give me the result, versus maybe the result, but mainly clicks. No. I want the clicks out of it. Okay? So for you, keep that in mind, and most importantly, have a clear system. This is the process of transformation. I'll quickly take you through them. Apathy, as we said, competitive. So competitive is you versus. It's a lot of playing not to lose. Apathy is you versus the world, you versus people, and it's the lowest state. It's a state where you just lost all hope and you just give up, right? Internally, feeling-wise, apathy is resistance to feeling. It's giving up on feeling. Ultimately, it's even giving up on life. When it comes to different goals, it's goals where you won't even think about them because you're like, well, what's the point? I'll never make it anyway. None of you here are in apathy, or you wouldn't be in this event, right? Someone who's in apathy won't even look up content to change because what's the point? I can't change. Why would I look up content, right? You might have a pocket of apathy, though, and this is also very subtle. Everyone here has a main state where you find yourself in the most, but then you have also different pockets. So someone could actually, let's just say, be in purpose when it comes to their job, but then be in apathy when it comes to their relationships. Oh, what's the point? But job-wise, everything's aligned and great. Or they might be in desire when it comes to relationships, and then in grief, this is the level of victimhood when it comes to their health, so on and so forth. So that's apathy. It's the what's the point? And this does tend to come usually after a lot of hope and despair. You try it, you fail. You try it, you fail. You try it, you fail, and at some point you're like, well, why even try? Right? Even with feeling. I'm happy, I'm sad. I'm happy, I'm sad. You know what? I'm just not going to feel happy. At least I won't feel sad. I'm just not going to feel. That's apathy. As you move up, you hit grief. And that is where you feel like a victim. Where you could, unlike apathy where you can't, here I could, but, and you list out the excuses. Now, this brings something very interesting in terms of this process, where with each level, as you move up, you gain access to more energy and more power. And advice changes per level. So when you hear, as an example, you're a victim, do you think that is good advice, yes or no? Telling someone they're a victim.
Yes.
Depends. For most people, no. However, for someone who's in apathy, who's lost hope, telling them they are a victim is actually empowering. Because they're in the state where they're like, I just can't anyway. And you telling them, wait, that's not true. You actually could, but it's the government, it's the president, it's the economy, it's this, it's your past, it's that. Oh, that's why. So it's not ideal, but you actually move up. You gain a little bit more life force, you could say, more energy, more power. However, you don't want to reside here. From here, you move up to fear, and this is where you hear classic advice like, take responsibility, claim your power back, don't be a victim. It's very disempowering, step it up. Oh, but that's scary to take responsibility. Good, you're now in fear. Or, even moving up higher to anger, get pissed at yourself. Enough! Don't be a little pussy-ass bitch! Like, stuff like that like resonates a lot. This is a lot of self-help, by the way, even on social media. Why is that pumped so much? Because this is where most people reside, between grief and anger. Grief is, oh, it's too hard, oh, it's scary, and then you might be like, don't be a pussy, and you step it up to anger, and then you fall off and you go back to grief, and you just kind of rotate between this. Even in the news, what do you see? Victimhood, fear, outrage. That's where most people are at. That's also why messages like, step it up, aren't you sick of it? Enough, don't be a pussy, come on. Everyone's like, yeah, because you move up to anger. With every level you move up, it feels like you feel this little high. So here it's instead of feeling sorry for yourself, get pissed at yourself. Do you want to reside there though? No. So notice how advice changes for each level. And all of these are you versus. Me versus, what's the point? Me versus, oh, I'm a victim. Me versus, oh, it's scary. Me versus, let's do something about it. I'll show them. Okay? Playing not to lose. Then, as you let go of this, you move up to the collaborative. Courage is the first level where you actually start playing to win. It's not you versus. It's not you running away from trying to avoid. It's, hey, what's my win? A key question you should all ask yourself. What is your win in life? What's your goal? Where are you moving towards? Most people have no idea. They know what they don't want, but they have no idea what they want. And I'm not saying win in terms of some vague future someday idea. I mean precisely. Where are you going precisely? 5 years from now, what does that look like? What do you look like? What are you doing? What's your life situation? What's your job situation? What's your friendship situation? What's your relationship situation? You should be very clear on that. This is courage. However, with courage, this is where you tend to have a general idea, still a little vague, and you take a little step in that direction and you tell yourself that's good enough. It's the land of small wins. It's the land of dabbling. And it can even be the land of procrastination. Little win, little win, little win, little win. Then there's desire. And this is actually where you can think of this as like you're running away from the stick, right? Desire is the little carrot. And I put it here because you can actually temporarily use this to stick to something for a longer period of time. Hey, if you paint that beautiful, happy ending, you can actually stick at the task longer than just the little win because the carrot's dangling. But I also put it above courage because this is also where your ego will come in the back door and take a win that is authentic, but then steer it towards I'll be happy win. So this is something you want to let go of as well. When you let go of desire, let go of the carrot, you then tap into purpose. You shift from acting out of desperation to acting out of inspiration. And then you move up to love. This is the whole process. As I mentioned, you all find yourself somewhere here, and you also have pockets. Any sticking point linked to one of these levels. You can always bring it back to it. Oh, I'm experiencing social anxiety. Could be fear. I'm self-sabotaging. Well, it could also be grief. You're trying to stay low. Oh, I'm making things harder than they need be. It could be anger. It could be desire, neediness. All of it comes back to this scale. Now, there's three reasons understanding this why people fail. One, they don't understand the path. Like I said, you're just kind of winging it. Or say you're in grief, you start going up into fear and anger, and you might say, wait a minute, fear and anger is not good. I'm going the wrong way. And you go back. No, no, no. And that's why I keep saying, progress, success is not linear. So now you know the path. Two, they don't know where they're at. And if you don't know where you're at, you won't know what type of advice to apply. Big mistake people make. They're in fear, they think they're in courage. And they're applying advice and courage when they should be applying fear advice. Or vice versa. This is also, once you really understand this and all these levels, because there's so many subtleties to each one, it's also what allows you to now filter out the infinite free content that's on social media. Whenever I see a piece of content on social media, I always ask myself, what level does this go to? Who is this for? You better know. And they'll also help you filter out, once you know where you're at, what is useful to you and what isn't. So that's the other big mistake. And the third is people try to skip ahead. They try to jump too high. Say you're in fear, you want to jump up to purpose, way too high of a jump. Aim for 1, maybe 2, and work your way up. This is what will allow you, on top of, once more, seeing where you're at success-wise, filtering content, applying it to you. It's also what will allow you to discover what is down here. As I said, I don't know what's down there. Only you do. And for the most part, you don't. Because what you don't know, you don't know. So linking these two together brings in the question, well, how can I become aware of this? How can I become aware of what I don't know I don't know? And the most efficient way, which took years to figure out, is by walking this path. This is what I have my clients do, by the way. I don't know what's down there, but I can have all of you walk a certain path. I can have you all walk through this and give you different exercises, assignments, different missions even per level. And when you take action on those, it's going to trigger things within you. It's going to bring some of that data that's outside of your awareness into your awareness. And this here is what produces crazy change. It's having people walk through this path. You have to do it. Boom, you're taking action, you're realizing certain things. There's even specific meditations you can do for each level that allows you to go deeper. And as you realize all this data, you can now let go of it and process it. That is the way. That's the system. And again, anyone that tells you, I know why, BS. They don't. They can help you figure out why, but you're the only one who can figure that out. You're the only one who can identify what you disowned, because you're unique and your upbringing and conditioning is unique as well. Here we got a lot into content, but on a more meta, macro level, there are 3 components to success. I call this SAS. One is system, which we talked about, having a clear system. What are the other 2? Nope. Accountability, which we also talked about. And last one is support. SAS. System, accountability, support. That is the secret magic cocktail, if you will, for success. Whenever you're working on yourself, or whenever you even think of, say, joining a program or a coaching, you better audit and make sure that there is SAS. Any course where you might have fallen off, slacked off on, didn't complete, it's because there wasn't SAS. Now, most programs that you'll find will have a system. That's most courses. If you go online, any digital course, you're going to see a system. This is what you get. There's module 1, module 2, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole system. Okay, great. But then you're left with that. And I've seen it over the years where people will buy a course, you're all excited at first, you start watching through the videos, and then that's it. You're left with a system. You're still not taking action. You still have the same excuses. You just know more about it. That's not enough. A system will lead to you knowing more about your problems, but not solving your problems. You got to differentiate between the 2. Are you learning about your problems or solving them? You'll see a lot of people who've been in the self-help world a while. They know everything about their problems. Everything. More than they should. Yet they still have those same problems. Like, well, here's my problem, and it came from my childhood, and this is... Have you solved it? No, I've just learned about it. Not good. So system isn't enough. Next one is accountability. A system and accountability. So there has to be some process that holds you accountable to take action on that system. Just like me starting out, surrounding myself with those people, that was the accountability that got me to take action. There are 2 things that create accountability. What are they? One that I talked about in that example, people. People. What's the other one?
Money.
Money. People and money equals accountability. And this is where you must audit where you're at in your journey and what you can use to your advantage. If you're someone who has no money, people. That's what I did. Like I talked about, surround yourself with people. And it has to be people, once more, who hold you accountable, where you also care about their opinion and you don't want to look like an idiot in front of them. If it's just you and yourself, you will slack off and slack off and slack off until you've done the work. So involve people. Then involve money. That creates a ton of accountability, skin in the game, and lights that fire under your ass. I talked about, like I said, the car, going in debt. Like that lit a huge fire. Putting yourself in different situations where now you're risk to go homeless, huge fire. All of you here, a quick little trip, tip for a tip. I hate that word, little tip. A tip for procrastination you might have heard me talk about is whatever it is you're procrastinating on, just give $500 to your friend. Even 1,000. Give $1,000 to your friend. And tell your friend, if I don't do that thing by X day or time, you keep the 1,000. You're not going to procrastinate. No matter what it is. Right? Because there's accountability. You put yourself in a situation where success is inevitable. No matter what it is. People would even do this back in the day. I only did it a couple times. mainly because I was super broke starting out. But you'd go out, say, with a friend and say you wanted to work on your social skills. You give $100 to your friend, and you're like, every time I say hi to someone, I get $10 back. Now you're going to say hi to someone. Accountability is what eliminates procrastination and excuses. You only have procrastination and excuses when you have the luxury of not having the accountability, the luxury of getting away with it. And this is where you must also learn about yourself and say, okay, at what point does it light that fire? Meaning around what type of people and how much, money-wise. This is one that people who have already accomplished a good amount of financial success actually can have trouble with, because what they pay for certain, say, courses or coaching simply isn't enough to light that fire under their ass. It's actually a huge problem. And for those of you who have accomplished a certain amount, you know what I'm talking about, where you're like, ugh, what's a few thousand? It's like a penny, and you're not motivated. So you need to know how to coach yourself and what will poke your buttons and trigger you and scare you the most. The more you're scared and resist doing it, the more you guarantee that when you do, the fire will be strong and you will take action. So system and accountability, but that's not enough. And accountability too, even on a coaching side, that's a little bit more of the step it up side of things. Step it up, take action, come on. But it's also it's the kind of harsh approach. And not everyone necessarily resonates with that. So just that isn't enough, and that's where you need also support. Support is the more nurturing advice, where instead of step it up, it's, hey, you got this. I believe in you. How can I help? I'm here to support. And that energy there is also very, very empowering. Having people who actually believe in you. For most of us in our lives, very few believe in us. Sometimes even zero. Maybe you don't even believe in yourself. It's like, no one including me. This is a cheesy quote, but it's a very true and powerful one. Sometimes all it takes is just one person who believes in you. So true. And I'll see this even in my coaching. I have a Facebook group that goes with it. There'll be comments below. Someone's like, you got this. A stranger just saying you got this. And someone will read that and feel so empowered and motivated to take action. They're like, wow, if someone else can see it within me, maybe it's there. Maybe I do have what it takes. Someone's actually betting and looking forward and believing in my own success. Because what do most people around you say? Oh, don't dream too big. That's dumb. Play it safe. Just stay where you're at. And it's like, whoa, get the opposite and see what happens. But then even a system alone and just support, because you'll see that too with no accountability. It's like, here's the system. I believe in all of you. You got, it's too meek. So you need the nice balance of the three. Make a cocktail out of sass, and you will crush it. Sassy. You'll get sassy. You'll get real sassy and crush it. Okay? But this is key. So whenever you do, enter it and make sure there is sass. Is there a system? Yes, check. Is there accountability? Yes, check. Is there support? Yes, check. This, although it's very simple, took me years to figure out. Years. Why? Because there's what works, or what you think works in the short term, as we talked about, and there's what works in the long term. This is what works in the long term. This is what gets not just someone who's already super motivated to take action, but anyone to start taking action, as long as the willingness is there at a core. If you want a little bit of behind the scenes in terms of how I created my coaching, I have this program called the Mentoring, Transformation Mastery Mentoring. It's built on SaaS, where for the longest time, I've had many programs. I've had live event programs, digital programs, and they're all great. But the pinnacle, what it all led to, is this, where it's not just the system, and this is how I structured it, by the way. This is, I launched it 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. It was November 2019 is when I first started the mentoring. And since then, over 700 people have gone through it. And with every person who's gone through it, I've refined it till I've tweaked like a little mad scientist and perfected the whole system. And this is how it's designed now, just so you also understand psychology and how to coach yourself. When you enter, so to list it out, it's 8 weeks. Okay, it's an 8-week program where every week, what do you go through? the different levels from apathy to love. So you have the system broken down. So every week you'll get content that breaks down all the subtleties because there's so many nuances, people misinterpret, they confuse some. So you'll understand all the system, the different steps you have to take. You'll understand ultimately the path that you will have to walk on your own. The very triggering path that you will have to walk on your own. But it doesn't stop there, as we said, or then it'll just gather dust. You're like, oh, I know the path. Did you walk it? No, but I know it. Terrible. So then it encompasses accountability. So under levels, you get content. You get mindset shifts, right, or mindsets. But then you get accountability in the form of missions that you have to report back on in two ways. One, in a Facebook group, and two, on live Zoom calls. And this here also serves as support. So let me break it down, and I hope it clicks, assuming you understand all this. 8 weeks, every week you get content, so you understand the system. Every week you also get missions that are linked to this content, where you have to take action on it, and based upon those missions, it's going to trigger what you bury deep down inside. What you don't know, you don't know. That's then going to come up to the surface. Now, to make sure you take action on these missions, there has to be the accountability that comes from, on one hand, a Facebook group. This is a private group that my clients are in. And every single mission that they have to execute on, there's some kind of report that they have to make in the group, where there's some kind of proof. The only way you can post a report is by doing it. So there's the proof aspect that you must take action on it. This hits on accountability, where then I can track it. And I do. My coaches and I literally have an Excel file tracking the progress of every single client, and we'll see where they fall off or they don't. So on your end, there's the accountability of the price for it, so the money like that lights that fire under your ass. But then there's the accountability of, you don't want to disappoint me and the coaches and get kicked out. You better take action. Now you're in that situation where you have to take action, and we will know, because of the reports, whether you did or didn't take action. So you have to report back, and then based upon what you report back, this is the true gold. Now that you say take action on a mission, you get triggered, right? One of the formulas that I'll teach you in this is action, trigger, release, repeat. Action, trigger, release, repeat. You take action, you get triggered, you let go, and you repeat. Now that you get triggered, you can report back on it, and then on the Zoom calls, and there's 2 a week, so 24/7 in Facebook group, 2 a week, direct access to me, we can then talk about what got triggered inside. It could be a feeling, maybe a memory, maybe a person, maybe a certain situation, maybe it made you think of this. Then we talk about it, and then this here is what allows us to get to the gold in terms of what is running you and how to let go of it. And then this is the cool thing with the content, you also get letting go meditations for each level. These are the meditations that I personally use. Only 8. The ones in this course. That's how I live my life. That's my tool belt for life, by the way. Anything that happens too in life, right? Famous saying, life's going to keep lifing. Tons of stuff's going to be thrown at you. You're going to have ups and downs in life. So am I. Some of us are equipped, some of us aren't. Once you understand the scale and you have the releases and the mindsets, you're invincible. That gives you that true sense of safety and security. Where something could happen, boom, you're in a pocket of fear. People then freak out, oh, fear. I'm like, oh, fear, interesting. That's the theme. Let me pull out the mindsets and the meditation, done. Oh, I'm in desire. Mindsets, meditations, done. Ooh, I'm not really sure what I should do in my life now. Purpose, mindsets, meditation, done. It's easy. It's so easy. So, and these are the exact ones I do. There's no secret meditations. It's all here. But now that you take action, then we can talk about it on Zoom. We dissect that data. Then you take more action, and you follow the whole process of going from apathy all the way to love. And the data moves you up and moves you up and moves you up and moves you up to the point where at the end, you made a ton of change. You understand the whole system. You're equipped. You know how it works. And you're fucking set. And then, of course, there's the support here, too, where you're not doing it alone. There's a group. You'll see other people take action. You'll also learn one of the most important things to realize is that what is most personal is most universal. A famous self-help saying, what's most personal is most universal. And you realize it's not just you. This is one of the unfair advantages that I have as a coach. I get to see the behind the scenes of most people. You don't. You see the fake little fronts that people put up and hide behind. And then you compare everything that you know about yourself to those little fronts, which aren't reality. As a coach, I get to see behind the fronts. I get to see the real issues. I get to see how people truly operate, what's truly running them. And I get to see how similar we all are and how similar all of our issues actually are. And that is very empowering. Even just feeling part of a larger, there's just this sense of unity, this larger part like of a community. It's like it's not just me. I always felt like it was just me. Something was off with me and everyone has it so much better. That's not true. People just hide it, just as you probably hide it. And you'll see, knowing that you're not alone in this, incredibly inspiring and empowering. Okay? And this here is the design, the structure that makes it so failure is impossible. One of the most common things I hear at the end is people who are like, you know what, this is the first course I actually finished all the way till the end. Why? Simple. SAS. You create the right amount of SAS, all of you will take action. And you can apply this same mentality outside of this to any goal you have, by the way. You're slacking off on something? Did you create SAS? Do you know the steps to get there? Is there accountability support? Nope. Start with that instead of hoping that someday things will change. Make it change. And have that sense of urgency. Make it change now. Don't wait. No shoulds, no I need to. Now, now, now. Really putting this all together, when you start letting go and ultimately re-owning everything that is you, this is how you raise your level of self-esteem, by the way. It's also how you cultivate what I call core confidence, not situational. Situational, going back to I don't feel good enough, is the whole I'll only feel good enough if. It's based on external things. Screw that. You want the type of core confidence where you're confident, why? Just 'cause. That's what it leads to. And the more your level of self-esteem rises, the more you let success land. The less self-sabotage there is. The more those invisible prison walls dissipate and fade away. And things get peachy, and you start enjoying the process, enjoying the results. Another key saying, if you're not enjoying the results you're getting, those are not results. Sadly, most people keep chasing phantoms. And ultimately, as cheesy as it sounds, by raising your vibe, you raise the vibe of the world. And that even for me personally, like why is it that I teach this? Why is it that I'm so passionate about this? One, because it changed my life completely. Night and day. But two, kind of zooming out and seeing the direction of the world, especially now. Like I have kids. I don't like the direction things are going. When you start getting into this work and you recognize it within yourself, you start seeing it in others too. And there are far too many people who are deeply traumatized, and it's leading to more and more toxicity, and it is not good. And the crazy thing is no one is talking about this. It's crazy that people still think that they can be immune to trauma. You can't. It's part of being human. Every single person experiences trauma. And by the way, trauma, the way that we go about it, right, where if you experience something traumatic, you'll either suppress or repress, okay? The whole act of suppression, repression is actually great. That's how you handle it. If you experience something that is so overwhelming, it's good that you just dissociate. That's how you survive that. The problem isn't the suppression, repression. The problem is once that event is done or that threat is gone, we never re-own what we suppressed or repressed. This is actually something Peter Levine talks about in the book Waking the Tiger. Amazing book. He'll take a bit less of a spiritual approach to, say, trauma healing and letting go, and works a lot with, say, PTSD, and talks about how animals experience trauma. And an example that really stands out, and it's crazy how we all do this, is he says, okay, let's just say you take a deer. A deer is attacked by a bear, okay? Cornered. So the deer's there in the corner, the bear's coming at it, and you hear always fight or flight, right? Well, I'm either going to fight when I'm in that situation, or I'm going to run away, flight. But when you cannot do so, the deer can't fight, the deer can't run away, it's cornered, what you go into is freeze. Suppression, repression. And what you'll see animals do is they'll go into this state where they play dead and completely dissociate from the experience and from themselves. Two reasons. One, it might convince the bear that, it's dead, move on. I mean, what else are you going to do? The bear's coming, nothing you can do. Just go to your happy place. Is it gone? That's all you can really do. So maybe it'll leave, but if it doesn't, and it actually tears you up and eats you up, you won't experience the pain because you're completely disconnected. So if you're someone who also has the fear of, oh man, that would hurt, being ripped apart by a bear, it'll be so traumatizing you probably won't even register. It won't even register consciously, the pain. So the deer will go in that state where it looks dead, but internally, whew, shit's hitting the fan. Say the bear walks away, doesn't rip it to shred. What you'll see is the deer will then get up and then start shaking uncontrollably, discharging all that pent-up energy and then going about its jolly day. Right? You'll also see, funny enough, dogs do this. Right? I have a dog, and she used to be like really scared at night of like trees. Right? So there's something that's not actually a real threat, but she'll get scared. And you'll see her like tense up, and then as soon as we're gone, she'll be like, and then back to normal. The problem with humans, with us, is that we also experience that. Not necessarily with a bear, but with various situations, too overwhelming, where we'll either suppress the experience or, again, disown different aspects of ourselves in order to survive. So we'll go through the same thing. But once the event is done, because no one talks about this or teaches us this, unlike an animal who will shake it off, we never shake it off. So we're that deer that gets up, like, and then we're like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm living through life fine. Something else happens. I'm even more fine. Something else. I'm fine. You need to discharge. That is what's messing you up. Discharge. And if you don't, this is where you can get really out there. And there's many theories behind this, but you might find that you will attract similar situations in your life. And I also see how this can be taken out of context. Again, who knows? This is a thought experiment. You might attract similar situations, and one of the theories behind it, if it happens, is that perhaps unconsciously, a part of you is trying to help you let go of it, and it thinks that the way it will help you let go of it is by getting you to experience it again. And then people are like, no, and it'll keep happening until you eventually do. Now, don't wait for that. Take control when now and let go of it. And what you'll see once more is not only will that change that experience of you at a core, all that tension just, and there's a reason people talk, including myself, letting go, follow this sense of relief or this sense of feeling at home within yourself. That is letting go. It's like you can just sink into you and just be you versus I need like this force, I need to run away from me. I need more, better, different, feel this, think this, get this versus let that go. What's the relationship like that you have with yourself? Can you relax into yourself? If not, letting go needs to happen. And when you can, and you become someone who actually loves themselves with high self-esteem, inside out game, suddenly you step into a whole experience of yourself, whole experience of the world. Suddenly your perception of the world changes too. Because that too, the scale from apathy to love will color what you see. Some of you here might be sitting in a state of fear, and your interpretation of this whole event is scary, scary, threats. How do I look? Are people staring at me? Oh, cameras. Oh, what? Someone might be in a state of anger. Be like, the AC is a little loud. It's a little cold. Yeah, it's not talking loud. What's this anger? He's picking on the anger. Someone could be in grief. I can't. What Julien says makes sense for others, but not little me. Little victim me. And that's all you see. It colors your focus. This is also why, by the way, it's inside out. Funny story. There was a client I had in Amsterdam. It was actually way back in the day on that first program I did by myself in Europe. And I was really scared. And there's this client, and he wanted to work on his confidence and social skills. And we went out and talked to a bunch of people. And everyone was loving this guy, loving him, smile, loving him. And then we hang out after. I'm like, okay, well, That was pretty fun, right? You enjoy that? And he's like, Julien, that sucked. That was the worst time I've had in my life. I was like, what? I'm like, why? He's like, everyone hated me. No one liked me. I'm like, what? But you can clearly see how his internal state, his level of self-esteem, how he viewed himself, hijacked his focus and would block out or even distort events to keep it in line with his view of reality and in himself. He wouldn't let that land. And we actually went out the next day, and I even took like some pictures, and I showed him after. I'm like, how was that? He's like, terrible again. I'm like, well, what about these smiles here? And he was like, Photoshop, right? But crazy how that happens, right? You can even sense yourself with a compliment, right? People, this is scary once you get this when it comes to self-sabotage. You might be aware of some of the self-sabotage you're doing, but most of it you aren't even aware of. Take a compliment, 3 people. Low self-esteem, hey, I like your shoes. Someone with low self-esteem is going to be like, why was that person making fun of my shoes? That was a sarcastic remark, wasn't it? They just can't let it land. They distort a compliment into an insult. Someone at a mid-level, they might see the compliment. Nice shoes. And they might be like, oh, they're nothing. And they'll try to downplay it. Someone with high self-esteem, hey, nice shoes. Thank you. They'll let it land. That's just a compliment. Think of opportunities in your life. How many opportunities are around you right now, but you simply have blind spots to them? Or just like someone with a compliment who will turn a compliment into an insult, you're someone who turns an opportunity into a wall. And this is also something I hear at the end is, not only have I gone through this, and it's one of the first programs I finished till the end, but I'm noticing all these opportunities around me I didn't know were there before. And they were always there. Why wouldn't I see them? Ugh. And I'm sure some of you had that experience before. Things that were there this entire time, you're like, well, why didn't I see it? Blind spots. The internal colors the external. So even if you think you'll get some little references out there that'll boost your confidence, your RAS will distort them to keep you where you're at. Or maybe to boost you a little bit, but not in a threatening way to your comfort zone or who you think you are. When you let go, everything changes. And this is the real work. And you'll see it in others. It actually adds a whole other layer of social intelligence. You hear social intelligence, look at how someone's feeling and thinking. Work on yourself, understand triggeredness, understand trauma. You'll see it in others. You'll read it in others. You'll recognize their patterns. You'll see what triggers them. You'll see where they're at in the scale. You'll be able to even predict what they'll resonate with and what they will do. And that is a superpower in and of itself. So much chaos in our lives, and I've seen this, again, teaching this for years now. So many chaos I've seen in people's lives could have easily been avoided if they had done the work and seen this. And they could see the little subtleties, they could predict it, and they, one, wouldn't resonate with it, but they could get out of that situation fast. So this is the superpowers. This here, for me, even as a coach, I've always tried to chase what produces the most results. In terms of my experience, which I said, 2006 working on myself, 2010 coaching. Been around the ringer personally. I'm not someone who just talks about this. I walk the talk. I've coached it. I see how it affects others. So it's not just me talking from my subjective experience. I've tried and tested almost everything. My teachings have evolved, have changed. The only reason I would drop something is if I found something that is more result producing. And as of right now, this, what I broke down for you, in terms of the system itself, the approach itself, the mindsets, and zooming out more meta, the SAS, is the most effective way when it comes to personal transformation.